450. So those people that search in those increments of 25,000, you're missing all the people that are looking for.
All right, ladies, you're passionate, but you have to understand, and this is a good training session. Let me start the training session because we're going to talk about this. Price reductions are, a tough thing. Hang on.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, everybody, here we go. This is now live. It's Thursday, November 14th, 2019, and this is Griffin Realty Group training. So look, the bottom line here is that when it comes to price reductions, you guys are like me back 10 years ago. You get all worked up and you're adamant about this stuff, and it's good, but and it's right, and she knows it's right, I'm sure, but she has a process. So what do you do? Well, tell me what you do. I mean, we're ranting and raving to us about what we all agreed to. It's sort of like, you turned around and, looked at the preacher and said, we believe. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Right? So now it's people in the audience that don't believe yet, or they're not there yet. So the question is, how do you get them there? How do you get them there?
Well, I think in her specific case, he lacked the sit-down meeting, so she didn't get to go over a nut sheet. She didn't get to have that tangible face-to-face experience with her, with you, which I think set us up for this where we're at.
Okay. So great. So you've discovered how we're at where we're at, and I'm with you. So what? Now what? That happened. Because she wasn't going to come down from where she is in the western part of the state to sit down for a presentation, and we didn't give her one online. So we have a system problem. Okay, so we recognize that there's the problem, but we're not going to solve it with her. We have to fix it with her. So what is your solution?
Good time for you to at least talk to her then.
Okay. All right, but what I know me, and I know my capabilities. What would you do? The two of you brought it up. What would you two do? How about I said this? I'm not coming. I'm not doing it. What would you do without me?
Quit.
You big wussy. You big wussy. One little challenge. You two came out of the box hot today, and I'm throwing it back at you. What would you do? Tell me what you would do.
Another process and keep trying in another couple weeks.
Okay.
And just keep showing her the evidence.
But you've already, now we're getting somewhere. You've already given yourself some clue, okay? You've already said something in this conversation that is a very, very important part of helping somebody make a decision. What did you say?
Net sheet.
Did you give her a net sheet yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm doing it today, though.
There you go. So instead of the ranting and the raving, when we get somebody to that point, you had your own solution on the tip of your tongue. We didn't get the chance to give her the net sheet. Okay. So since we didn't have the opportunity for the full sit down, did you send some sort of a video and say, we did you an injustice? Here's Danny talking about the 7 steps, but more importantly, here's the net sheet. Okay. That's how we help everybody make a better decision, because we know that when we tell people the feedback is the price is too high, people push back because they can't see their net. So you haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Kate, you haven't done that yet. You haven't suggested that yet. You've told me everything that's wrong with this property. I get it. I've been in it. I know what it is. I knew the math was there to tickle the high end of the range. I had that conversation with her, and she's a past client. She's pleasant. And so she needs a process because she's getting divorced. So I said, sure, let's see what happens. So here we are, right? See, you guys don't always want your big brother on the phone for you. You want me right here on Thursdays suggesting how you can be empowered. And you already both had the answers. Do the call together so you both learn. Go on speakerphone. Kate's done the majority of the open houses, so she's here to chat a little bit about it. I'm sending you this. Just set it up. Do it. I could do this in 30 seconds. I could pick up the phone and call Jennifer Bellesi, my buddy who we laugh with all the time, and I could get a heart-to-heart because she trusts me implicitly. And I could hit her with this, and I could find out why she's dragging. But I'd rather you guys did it first, right? Because the idea here is for you to be empowered to be able to get the same result I would get so that we can expand what we all do. Yeah?
Okay.
Kate, thoughts? Kate, you brought it up. You started the shit. Now, you get back in the octagon with us. Now what? Now what? Now what? I know what you want. You want a better price so that you can go in and get people. What about, did anybody come in unencumbered, or were they all with agents?
A lot were with agents.
Okay. What about the ones that didn't come with agents? Have you had any opportunities there?
Only one.
Okay. Did you have the other properties with you? I want you to make the case. I just walked through the door, and you presumably, if you're doing the Griffin Realty, if you're following the formula, presumably you have a package with your face on it that has all of the properties for sale or that sold around Eastman. Okay. So you tell me what price it should be and why. And I know I'm catching you off guard. So if you want to go get your open house package so that live, if I were the guy that walked through, you could make the case, I'm happy to give you that time to do so. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I'm really just, I do have those things. I am set up the same way in every open house. So I do have that stuff to give. I'm just more or less going off of the consistent feedback that I get when the actual human being is just standing
great.
in front
Yeah,
of
but
me.
great. I got it. You got the live. But what's your conclusion? She found one for herself on what to do. What's yours? Make the case to me now with your resourcefulness. What is it that you would show me to make the case for the price reduction? You just gave me feedback. Great. Now give me guidance. Feedback is just information from people bitching and complaining. They were shocked. They were this. Who gives a shit? I don't care. They came through the door because the price was close enough. They didn't like the features and benefits that it offered. Okay? I got it. I know this. Now I'm saying, okay, fine. So what should it be and why should it be there?
I guess I'd have to do a new, comms and tech on it.
You're in the hot seat for tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. You will come with your tech sheet tomorrow, and you'll make a case. If you can break off the time, let's keep the momentum. This is a really important moment for both of you two because you're veterans, right? You have 23 years combined between the two of you. You don't want to get caught up in right? You don't want to get caught up in that emotional reaction when something's wrong. You want to bring it logical and say, hey, you know what? We looked at this thing and we got some pretty negative feedback, and it's just probably simply because, we got the price wrong. I looked at a bunch of other things. Here's what I saw selling in this price range. It didn't have the proximity to the neighbors. It didn't have the one bathroom, right? You have to go logical. And I'm being very serious today because I see this as the inability for people to get the subsequent price reductions or be better negotiators, right? You had to keep it very black and white the more you go into this stuff. Otherwise, what it sounds like to the seller is exactly that. Nobody likes your house. This sucks. That sucks. This sucks. That's what it sounds like to the seller. And when it sounds like that to the seller, they shut down very quickly. So, Laura, go back to when you talked to Jennifer about the price reduction, or anybody for that matter. What did it sound like?
A conversation with her?
Yeah.
So I mixed, positive with feedback. I said, it shows beautifully, people like the aesthetics of it, the location, but we keep hearing that it's overpriced. They struggle with the one bathroom, and it kind of is what it is. So, and then I kind of went into the, losing the people that are searching for the 450 or less. And she's like, well, I thought about, taking it off until after the holidays. And I said, I wouldn't necessarily advise that. I was like, houses are selling all the time, regardless of the holidays. I was like, and there was definitely a steady amount of activity and stuff selling last winter. So, she was like, okay, that's fine with me. And she's like, well, let me talk to my husband. She seemed like, I don't love this idea, but I hear what you're saying. I can't disagree with you. Let me talk to my husband. That was the overall sense I got from her. And then once she talked to the husband, it was a no.
Right. But the key point that you had that was right, why didn't you go back to your net sheet?
But Danny, can I just
No,
say
not yet. Not yet. Why didn't you go back to your net sheet?
The net sheet has not been done yet because we never did
All
that
right. Well,
appointment. It was-
but again, Laura, again, hold on, stop. Again, if we have a system, to everybody in this room, if we have a system and it has been overlooked or interfered with, always go back to it like it's a buoy in the middle of the ocean. There should never be a subsequent price reduction conversation without a net sheet being done. Don't make the phone call. You follow me? Because all they care about is how much they walk away with. It's all they care about. We perceive it's what they get because that's where we leave them as real estate agents. We leave them there, okay, waiting to make the decision the way they make it instead of leading them to make it the right way. Say, listen, let's stay focused. And this is the same from price reduction to negotiation. When things get emotional, the idea is to put the math on the table. If you all were to watch me go through a listing presentation like I did the other night, I went out to one that Autumn set me up for that was grossly overpriced. I mean, dramatically. Percentage-wise, it's so far out of the ballpark, it's ridiculous. $650, and if she was stretching on her tiptoes, she's maybe $500, okay? So I got a $150,000 overpriced situation. The best math that we could ever make for her is 5 to 530. And the net sheet was made at 5 to 530, which number one, the low end was too high. And the high end was, all the money. But at least when it got in her hands, she was able to now become rooted in, hey, you've got about X sitting at the bottom of this. I think she had a mortgage on it. My guess is like 180. So if I forget what it was, she was going to end up with something like 300. And so she started to have a different kind of a process right in front of me where she's from New York City. So she's going to be a typical city girl who thinks she's being, pressured into something. And the number one thing all of these people want is not to be taken advantage of. The number one fear I find, especially when you have a seller, is that they don't want to be taken advantage of. That's their number one fear. And so their perception is everybody telling them that their house is not worth what they thought it was is taking advantage of them. So what I said to her in that particular case is, look, I've heard you say now 3 times, I'm not going to give it away. And I understand that because I said the same thing. But there's no such thing. There's only this math that's in front of us. Okay? I do say it is disappointing to find out that our properties are not worth what we hoped they would be. But I'm here to give you the reality of the moment and let you digest it. I'm going to walk out of here without even talking about listing this property because you need more of a process. You're going down. Your son's now you're telling me your son's told you to reduce it. I'm just asking you to take a look at that bottom line. If you had that bottom line and you were living back in New York City, would you be a happy person? Or would you rather keep grinding it out here? And I just left her with that thought. That was it. Because that's all I could do. Anything else would be perceived as pushing and prospects pursued run away. And we would be, definitely in a bad spot. Secondly, I'm not taking that listing anywhere near that number. It's a cottage. And all we'd be doing is having you, Laura, now subsequently getting in this kind of a, moment with her. So you're right. But you can't keep harping on that we didn't have the presentation. Give it to her online. Say, you know what, Jennifer, you didn't come down here and you've only bought from us before. You really should watch this, video of Danny going through the 7 steps. And I'm going to send you up a net sheet based on the analysis we did. You can still do it, Laura. Right? It's a system that is malleable or flexible where we don't have to just always do it exactly in the house. What happens when we get a lot of people that don't live here and they want to do it, right? Send them the video of me talking about the 7 steps. Send them the net sheet. We've done that before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's preparedness. And when we rush outside the system, this is what we sound like, right? Kate, make sense?
Yeah, totally.
You guys bring up an excellent point because this doesn't go away across the whole part of helping somebody down the line, right? On the buy side too. Janice Imprini really helped me focus on the math on her side when she really had Julie, who's great at this, sitting down with the very specifics of the math. She wanted to know everything right down to the detail because her fear of being taken advantage of was off the charts. So she forced the process into a deep, a deep-rooted conversation about math, and we just kept going there. And it just kept helping her be empowered to get across the finish line. So it really does become about if somebody's getting divorced, especially, and they're splitting this money or they're in it together, I mean, everybody's trying to walk away with as much as possible at the end, and they're fighting it. So you have to lead them to the reality, and and they can see what they could split. And eventually, people that are motivated to sell, they break. They just break because they've had enough, or the court dictates it, or circumstances require it. So there you go. Autumn, what were you trying to say?
What I was going to say was just simply tactical, and what stood out to me as a telemarketer, when you hear somebody, and Laura, I know we've talked about this, when someone says, "Let me talk to my husband," that is super red flag. At that point, what I would have done was said, instead of that, let's do this. Let's set a time where your husband and you and I can sit down, because anytime they want to talk to someone else, the answer is going to be no. So yeah, I was just interjecting something purely tactical.
Got it. It's a good point. If you can pull it off, sometimes you can't pull it off. So what you do is take that tactic and say, well, let me talk to him for you, but let me first get you the net sheet. Or do you want me to talk to him, right? To make the suggestion. See, in this case, she really drives the bus. So it's less likely that could happen, and they're both off Cape. But it's a good suggestion when they're local. Say, well, why don't we all think together? Let me come over. Let me bring the net sheet over. Let me bring a fresh analysis. We've had a good solid 30 days. Let's take a look at it. Okay, questions, thoughts about that? Who else we have? We have Lauren. Who else did we have in the room?
She's really looking forward to talking.
Linda's actually done a good job of this already with somebody who's very difficult, Eileen. She actually went into Eileen's house multiple times to sit with her and walk her through it. So she's been in the lion's den already. Yeah, right, Linda? And Linda's in the middle of a negotiation where the seller is super bizarrely naive for somebody who's a flipper. So, by the way, Linda, as an anecdote, I know the listing agent prior to this, and I called him. He's a little bit goofy, but I don't know, man. I think he just ran up against a real knucklehead who owns that property.
Is that what he said to you?
No, he was more like, oh, you could, make the difference up with seller paper. I'm like, no, we don't want to pay more. We don't need seller paper. We're not interested in that. It's got nothing to do with it. Because I guess the guy's a money guy or something like that. So whatever. He's a lender.
Yeah.
But I did keep going, try to resolve it for you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So the gentleman you spoke to said basically the seller is kind of a knucklehead.
Well, he's a money guy. In other words, he's a lender, so he thinks like a lender. So whatever he's in there for, I asked, is he Cape Cod savvy? And so this guy, Mark Maraglia, who's actually from Brockton, so why he was listing it, I don't know. He said supposedly, and I said, well, welcome to Cape Cod and welcome to the winter. I don't know what this guy's thinking.
Yeah. Did he say why the seller took the listing from him and gave it to someone else?
No, not really. Yeah. I mean, I think that's just the delusion that, Sotheby's, this guy's actually a pretty good negotiator. We did the deal with him on Main Street in Osterville, Brian Dacey, the one he bought. And so, no, he didn't really get into that too much. So
yeah,
that was it.
So he didn't really have any suggestions other than try to come up
No.
more?
Yeah, I think you got to let it bake a little bit. And that's a good point in the tail of this other conversation is that, sometimes you have to let these things bake. I mean, and to see where your buyer's really at, what is your buyer pre-qualified for? The house has been all redone and upgraded. And where did they get the 510 number from? And is there anything else with that kind of an address in Orleans for 550 that offers that kind of stuff in it. And if it's not, then then it's on the buyer side, right? See, it's not always on the other side. Sometimes it's on our side. And the process that they need to have and that you need to give them is immediately go print out everything that's sold from 5 to 550 in Orleans and see if any of it that's closer to 550 or 510 can get them what they want, right? Because if there is stuff out there, then keep looking. If there's not, then you need to suggest that you might not be finding this at this level. You might need to step up. Now the question is, can they step up?
I think, again, it's the wife would go up to maybe 520, 525. That's what she said. The husband won't budge.
Yeah. Okay. Why?
So,
Well, here we go again. Here we go again with Autumn's point. Why?
I think the wife is more eager to have a home. They have a really nice apartment in Chatham now. And, but they're also paying for storage. So the amount of money they're paying for rent and storage really cover a pretty good mortgage. The husband, when we went to look at the house, was really just, I found that what he was doing was trying to find everything he could wrong with it. That was his
Yeah. So you have a problem. So there you go. So here we go again. Who is this? This brings us to the next level of this conversation. Who is the decision maker?
Depends on who's on top.
Now, see, that's fucking funny. See, that's fucking funny right there. That's some funny shit right there.